Young of Iowa taking a lot of heat for remarks he made while arguing against the DREAM Act. That's the legislation that would ultimately give citizenship to the children of undocumented immigrants. I'll talk to the congressman in his first live TV interview since making the remarks in just a moment. But first, a little background on what has gotten so many people upset. In a recent interview, Congressman King said many undocumented children, the vast majority, in fact, are drug mules. Listen to this.
Some of them are valedictorians. Well, my answer to that is, and then, by the way, their parents brought them in. It wasn't their fault. It's true in some cases, but they aren't all valedictorians. They weren't all brought in by their parents. For everyone who's a valedictorian, there's another 100 out there that they weigh 130 pounds and they've got calves the size of cantaloupes because they're hauling 75 pounds of marijuana across the desert.
The House Speaker, John Boehner, called the language hateful, and the House Majority Leader, Eric Cantor, called it inexcusable. But today, Congressman King doubled down, saying the facts support his words. And it's not the first time he's made controversial comments about immigrants. In the 2012 speech, he compared legal immigrants to bird dogs. Listen to this.
You want a good bird dog, and you want one that's going to be aggressive? Pick the one that's the friskiest, the one that's engaged the most, and not the one that's over there sleeping in the corner. If you want a pet to sit on the couch, it's the one that's sleeping in the corner. But that's, so you get the pick of the litter, and you got yourself a pretty good bird dog. Well, we got the pick of every donor civilization on the planet because it's hard to get here. They had to be inspired to come. We got the vigor from the planet to come to America.
Just days ago, Congressman King stood by those remarks, saying his speech was actually complimentary to immigrants. Keeping them honest, plenty of people didn't see it that way. Congressman King is joining us right now. Congressman, thanks very much. And I want you to respond, give you a chance to respond. First of all, to the Speaker of the House, John Boehner. He called your comments about immigrants and drug smuggling wrong. And he said this, he said there can be honest disagreements without using hateful language. And as you know, the Majority Leader, Eric Cantor, said, and I'm quoting him now, I strongly disagree with his characterization of the children of immigrants and find the comments, in his word, inexcusable. So do you want to revise and amend, as they say, your comments? Are you standing by them?
Well, of course I wouldn't revise and amend. And first, I've got to back a couple things up, Wolf. And one of them is that discussion about the pick of the litter is about self-selected legal immigrants who are the cream of the crop, the vigor of the American civilization. And that speech was clear, and nobody there thought otherwise. And so this has been regenerated across through the media. Then, neither did I describe the vast majority of those who would come in here as drug smugglers. What I said is that for every valedictorian, there are 100 per valedictorian that are smuggling drugs into the United States. And I think the numbers support that. And so, no, I won't back up on that statement. I think it's important that the people in Congress are able to objectively look at the data that's out there, the real facts, and know that 80 to 90% of the illegal drugs that come into America come from or through Mexico. And the people that are carrying them are increasingly young people. Now, remember, the DREAM Act goes all the way up to 35. We're just talking about young people here, but we're seeing that the numbers of those arrested have gone a multiple of 10 times over the last year and a half or so. And in Mexico, there are the multiples also. 800 to 900 a year in Mexico are arrested smuggling drugs for drug-related crimes. So we have a problem here. These people would be legalized with those valedictorians as well. That's my point, and I think it's important we stop, look at the facts, and take a deep breath and analyze what's going on here. We're setting policy for the destiny of America.
Let's talk about that, because another one of your fellow Republican congressmen, Raul Labrador of Idaho, you know him, he called your comments, and I'm quoting him now, irresponsible and reprehensible. Can you see how someone might be offended by those comments, someone who may even agree with some of the policy proposals you're taking, but they take issue with your language?
And, you know, I would suspect that none of those people that you've referenced their quote ever saw the video of what I did, nor read through the full transcript of what I said. Instead, they're reacting to what a reporter has said to them, which is going to be an edited version of this, and they ought to take a deep breath. And I would do this. If I were going to make derogatory comments about my colleagues, I would go listen to what they said, and I would have an objective opinion.
So
I think none of those people do have.
You think John Boehner and Eric Cantor and Raul Labrador would react so bitterly and angrily against you if they didn't get a full picture of what you actually said accurately?
I don't think any of them saw the video or read the full text. I think they were reacting to a part of it, and it may well have been the staff recommendation.
Well, let me play the clip one more time, because I want to be fair to you. Here's exactly what you said that has generated this uproar. Listen to this.
Some of them are valedictorians. Well, my answer to that is, and then, by the way, their parents brought them in. It wasn't their fault. It's true in some cases, but they aren't all valedictorians. They weren't all brought in by their parents. For everyone who's a valedictorian, there's another 100 out there that they weigh 130 pounds and they've got calves the size of cantaloupes because they're hauling 75 pounds of marijuana across the desert.
All right, so for every valedictorian who's a dreamer, as they call them, there's, what, 100 out there who are smuggling drugs? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes. And, you know, you only get one valedictorian per class per year. And they aren't all dreamers. There's a lot of other American kids out here that are competing for that valedictorian status. But every night, there are dozens and scores of people that are smuggling drugs across our border. I've been down there multiple times. I've sat along the border at night. I've traveled with the Border Patrol for days on end. I've sat out in a ranch house out in the desert and had the Border Patrol or helicopter pilots come to me one at a time in a clandestine setting, tell me their narratives. This isn't something that just was made up out of thin air. This is something I get from the people enforcing the law down on the border. I've seen it with my eyes. I've unloaded the illegal drugs with my hands, and I've dealt with the people that are enforcing the law, and I've watched the data and the videos that support what I say. And the longer this dialogue goes, the more the American people are going to understand what I'm saying is factually correct. It's probably understated.
Yeah, because I know you gave an interview also today to Radio Iowa. You elaborated on the source for your figures, and among other things, you said this, and I want to be precise on what you said. You said that comes from being down on the border, spending days and nights down there on multiple trips, and time with Border Patrol. That description essentially came from them. So are you saying that Customs and Border Patrol officials basically told you that for every valedictorian immigrant out there, there are 100 who are drug smugglers?
It's interesting to me how some of this interpretation can come off of what I said. I was clear about what I said. And the law enforcement officers, I have seen these drug smugglers. The law enforcement officers have described them to me as well. They know what they're doing. They have to chase people down now. The people they meet in the crossing the border illegally used to surrender themselves when they encounter Border Patrol agents. Now, more often, they will take flight or fight. And these are the characteristics that you'll hear from the people that are putting their lives on the line to defend us. And so, no, I wasn't talking about the ratio. They don't know. Border Patrol agents don't know how many valedictorians we have that are also dreamers. In fact, I don't know that the public knows either, but I can tell you it's not nearly as many as the advocates for the DREAM Act would like to have you believe. And if you want to see what's going on politically, run a little word search through the congressional record, through the Senate and the House, and see how many times the word valedictorian pops up. And I'll tell you that it peaked in 2006 in the middle of our immigration debate, and it threatens to peak again now because they would like to characterize this as being about valedictorians. I say good. These kids are good kids. Some of these kids, it's not their fault. It's never the kids' fault. Yes, there's some really good kids that are part of this, and it's too bad that they're caught in this flux that we are in. But by the same token, you will also be legalizing those people that are breaking our laws in a very bad way, smuggling drugs into the United States, not just crossing the border, but making money with illegal activity, smuggling contraband into the United States. And we need to know about that and weigh that in with our policy. Remember, though, Wolf, I'll just tell you that I believe in the dignity of every human person. It's a faithful tenet with me. And what I've said here is descriptive, it's accurate, and it should not offend anybody because it's also objective.
And I just want to be precise on your source at the border for this information was a member of the Border Patrol. Is that what you're saying?
It was a number of Border Patrol agents, a number of ICE agents, a number of helicopter pilots and Custom Border Protection personnel. None of those folks down there know me, and hope to go back again and reconnect with them. I think you'll find that when you talk to the agents, they're going to tell you Steve King's right, and we should not, as a Congress, stick our head in the sand because we feel some political pressure. We've got to do the right and objective thing. We only get to do this once. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle, Wolf.
Congressman King, thanks for joining us.